Welcome to Move Your Mind. My name's Nick Bracks, and this is a podcast where we have real conversations with real people and give real advice. Taking ownership of your decisions and actions is the first step towards becoming the leader of your own life. Nomi Bachar is a human potential expert, keynote speaker, author, and mentor. She's a trained psychotherapist and has been guiding individuals and organizations for 30 years. She's the founder and director of Cedar Institute for Expanded Living and the creator of the highly acclaimed method and program titled Gates of Power. In this episode, Nomi shared her incredible life story and provided practical advice about taking back control of your life by observing emotions rather than always reacting to them. So nice to meet you, Nomi, and thank you for making the time to come and have this conversation today.
It's a pleasure, Nick.
Really appreciate it. So I was saying before, I wanted to ask you to give a bit of a background on yourself and what you do, and you've done a lot, so it's going to be hard to give a short version of that. But if you can, I mean, it can be a few minutes or whatever. But if you can just give a bit of an overview, an abbreviated overview of your background and what you currently do.
All right. I was born and raised in Israel. And there I went to the Academy for the Performing Arts and became an actress, dancer, actress, whatever, performing on national stages. And was never struggling, none of that. But then I came to New York City on a grant from the government. We choose 2 or 3 actors a year. So that's how I got to New York City. And there I started my struggling acting, episode of my life. And it forced me to create my own dance theater and create my own pieces. So I am at the core an artist and later on a healer. But I think these two are very related because as an artist, you create, and as a healer, you create the inner space. So these are both very creative. You create realities, you move realities around. So so, I was performing and directing and choreographing and doing all of that. And as I was doing that, I went through my own breakdown and I started therapy. I was maybe 31 or 32. And then I realized how creative the process of healing is. And I fell in love with that too. And I started a little bit after training in modalities of psychotherapy that are creative, experiential, expressive, full personhood kind of transformation. Gestalt, bioenergetics, primal, and psychodrama. These are the 4 modalities that I train. And each one is a couple of years, and you do your own therapy while you're training. So I started my private practice about 33 years ago. So I've been working in this very creative way for 33 years. And after about 10 years, I started experimenting. I was experimenting all the time because I was trained in 4 modalities. Usually people just do Gestalt or they just do primal and I had a lot of tools and I put in the mix my spiritual training and my meditation training and my artist training. I worked with people, guiding them through using their creativity, movement and sound and writing and coloring and all of that, and meditations, which can be very profound vehicle of healing. So eventually I created something that was not any one of those four modalities. It was something, I put everything in the blender that moved
Yeah.
me, that made sense to me. And I created Gates of Power. So it's a method and a full program for self-healing, self-transformation, and self-actualization. A lot of people go, self-actualization, what does that mean? That means actualizing, meaning making actual
Hmm.
everything that is within your potential.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's an enormous journey that you've been on. Are you still in New York City?
No, I just now decided to skip the winters,
Yes.
and I'm in Florida right now.
Oh,
So
a little bit
since,
warmer.
yes, warmer. Yeah. And along this long journey, I did my own healing, obviously. I needed
Yeah.
to do that. I I guide people. It's not out of books, it's out of my own experience.
Yeah. Which I think, from personal experience is where the most powerful information comes from.
Yes.
Because if you're just teaching from a book, sort of anyone can read that. But, we need to learn from what's actually worked. And it's the same as the work that I do. A lot of it's public speaking, sharing stories. And I think, people learn when they actually hear something that's real. That's what they are craving.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it's just like anything. I think if you are gonna track in the Himalaya, you want somebody who's tracked before.
Exactly.
And the depth that I'm going with people and the transformation, uh, they need to do it with somebody that have been there, because it's scary sometimes.
Definitely.
It's scary.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think, you're
So
talking about how you started out as an actress and you incorporated a lot of the creativity into what you do. I think um it's so true what you're saying there with the creativity and performing and things like that, how much that can help with our mental well-being. And
yeah,
I fell into acting about 8 or 9 years ago, and when I started doing class, I was terrified at the beginning, and then I fell in love with it because just even going to class, like it felt like another form of therapy, and I would just feel
yeah,
so liberated afterwards. Where it's somewhere to put your thoughts. You can understand other people. You have to understand yourself. You can express all of these emotions that you don't let out daily. And I thought, wow, this is one of the best personal development things anyone can do. Just going to an acting class.
yes. I
Yeah,
agree, but hey, I don't know. A lot of people don't do that.
because they haven't
But
experienced it.
when
I think
they
that's the
come
thing.
to I know, but when they come to a session, they're expected. I tell them, get out of the chair, walk around, move, make sounds. You're angry at that person. Let's hear it. You're
Yeah,
happy. You're feeling exhilarated. Express. Don't
yeah.
just sit there. I mean, so people learn that it's good and okay to express, to move around, to make sounds.
Oh, because
Yeah.
otherwise, we've been taught to suppress everything, and in day to day life, when do you get the
Right.
opportunity to let that out normally?
Yes, you don't usually.
Yeah,
And I teach them, whenever you have something that's going on for you that's strong, if you need to lock the door and say to your partner or to the kids, hey, I'm doing some work, you're going to hear some sounds. Don't don't be worried. Walk around the room and express yourself.
yeah. Oh, because it's amazing how much of a difference it makes.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I really
Yes.
like that. Yeah. And so, do you very quickly see a difference in people, like you're saying there, when they have, never really done that kind of work before, and you're getting them to move around, to make noises, and they probably feel awkward at the beginning and do it for the
Yeah.
first time, is it very quick that they respond and, really see the results and feel the difference themselves?
Oh yeah, they do. It's just that you need to get over the awkwardness of
Yes.
that. Once that becomes like some people don't know how to meditate. I have to teach them to meditate. They fall
Yeah.
asleep,
Yeah.
and they go, I don't know how to meditate. I don't, so it's just a little bridge. But
Yes.
once you go over the bridge, they all do it. Because when they tell me something in a session and they go, I felt this, and the first thing I ask is, did you take a minute with yourself? Did
Yeah.
you do some expression? Did you write? Did you scream? Did you cry? So
Yeah.
they know they better do it.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
they fall in love with it. Yes, they fall in love with it because it's liberating.
And what I was first thinking about when you were telling me that story is you got into this area, you're saying you've been doing it for 30 years. You got into it so before it was, a talked about thing, before meditation was a cool thing to do. Now we've got
Right.
overload, people wanting to
Yeah.
be mindfulness teachers and doing this and that. And there's a lot of crap out there as well now. But
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that you did it authentically and you're still doing it. We need more people like you out there because it's really hard in this day and age to find, what's good and real and authentic and what's not.
That's true. I started to meditate myself when I was 22. That was long before you were born, probably. A long time ago. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way I do my meditations is very different. I mean, yes, we take a little time in the meditation to drop the mind, to calm, to become present. But then we do travels, really deep travel.
Mm.
We have themes. Gates of Power has there are 7 gates. There are 7 channels through which your inner being speaks in life, like the gate of the body, meaning your inner being moves through the body.
Yeah.
The gate of emotions, the gate of dialogue, which is relationships, the gate of creative expression, the gate of life path, the gate of silence, meditations, and prayer, and understanding the spiritual, and the gate of knowledge. These are the 7 areas of life or channels for your inner being to move through.
Yeah. That's great. So it's not just mantra based meditation. You've got real journeys that you take people on.
Yeah. So we work on a lot in a lot of different ways, but to optimize your body, your emotions, your relationships, and all of that. But in our meditational part, as I said, after we relax everything and center and become present, we take a journey, and it depends on the gate that we're working on.
Yeah.
If it's a journey to the body inside, to, let's say, move through the chakras or whatever, if it's emotional journey, if it's a relationship connected. So it's it goes way beyond just calming the mind and feeling a little more relaxed.
Mm. Yeah, that's
Does it
super
make
interesting.
sense?
It does.
Hard
No,
to
it really,
describe.
it does make sense. It does make sense what you're saying for sure. It really does. And Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, please click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram at Nick Bracks. I really appreciate your ongoing support. Another question I was thinking of, I mean, I've been, like I was saying before, in the acting industry a little bit myself, and seen how, cutthroat it is. You're getting rejected for a living. I know a lot of actors,
Yes.
and a lot of people who are listening to this are in those creative fields, so I think it's relevant for them as well. What was one of the biggest things you learnt from that process, and what would you, because I think this relates to people in all industries really, where we can get very attached to a specific dream, an actor, and I've seen it so many times where they're attached to this idea of, I have to make it as an actor, it can't be anything else, and they become very, very mentally unwell. And in reality, we can be creative in so many different ways. So I guess, what was the lesson you learnt there, and what would be a message you would say to someone who is feeling stuck like that and, not knowing what to do?
Well, my message is more general than acting.
Yep.
Don't be attached to anything that you feel might give you a sense of worth, because your sense of worth is not out there. It's inside of you. And the attachment is always the need, the craving to get an affirmation from outside.
Yeah.
So if you can work at least towards that freedom, then you can enjoy the creativity of any profession. But it's
I love
not
that.
in order to become somebody or look like I'm somebody or all of that. That takes a little time, because we all have to heal some woundedness in our self-worth. And once we heal that, we can be free to be less attached to these, these compensations.
Yeah. And that
Does
really
that
does
make
apply
sense?
to, it does, and it applies to everyone, because we're sort
Yes.
of almost taught by society that we need to be more, we need to do this, we need to make this much money, we need to
Yeah,
have this job, we need to have that. We're not enough unless we have it. And
exactly.
like you're saying, it's a sickness, and it's like a drug, where if you are buying into that,
Yes.
even if you get everything that you thought would make you feel okay, you're just going to need the next thing. It's the same as if you take a hit of, if you're a cocaine addict, if you take a hit of
Right.
drugs, you're going to need more, 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 more. It never ends. So it's a
Yeah,
really valid point.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I learned is the happiness of just creating for creating,
Yeah.
expressing to express, the freedom of that, just the freedom of being all these different things and all these different people. It's extremely liberating, because you could be a murderer person in 1 minute, and then you could be, I don't know, some innocent vagabond, and you could be a lot of things, which
Yeah.
are all you.
Yeah.
And it's nice because it's like, oh, I'm everything.
Yeah.
I'm everything. It's Yes,
Definitely.
that's what I took out of it. Freedom.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's,
Freedom to
really
be
nice
and
message.
freedom to express.
Yeah.
Yes. But you
And
can get it.
ultimately,
You don't have to be
no,
yes.
you can get it from any, in anyone can get that if
Yes.
they want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what do you think is the biggest issue people are facing in this day and age through the work, through what you're seeing? What are you finding is the biggest blockage for people that they're needing help with?
I think there is a blind spot. People are so hypnotized by the addiction of making themselves look like, be like,
Mm.
impress like, all of that. People are so steeped into that
Yeah.
they cannot see the 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 part inside of their soul or that's crying for connection and love from themselves to themselves, because they're
Yeah.
so busy, you know. So I I I think that that's sad, because
And
there's such a fashion out there about being more, doing more, being like that or like that or like that.
it's so true. And do you think you there's no way to access that true self if you are just constantly doing more and more? You need to give yourself the time to pause and the
Yeah.
space to do it. Is that, would you say that's, yeah?
Yes.
Because a lot of
And
people find that really hard. How people say no, but I want to, but I can't. I've got to keep. I've got too much responsibility. I've got to work. Around the clock. I've got a family. I've got no time. But everyone can make the time, I think.
everyone can make the time, but it needs to click with you
Yeah.
that you are being your quote false self more of your day than touching your true self.
Hmm.
You have to become awakened to that, and
Yeah.
it need to be somewhat painful. Otherwise, you don't stop. I mean, I get people that come to me because it became painful,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden something is not working in a big way, like either the
Yeah.
marriage or the career or the sickness, or something is not working because you're not in touch, you're not sitting within your truth.
And would you say on that note, because one of the big fears people have, like we're sort of talking about here, is if they do be true to themselves and take better care of themselves, allow themselves to connect more, to have more space to, do these things, they feel like, well, I'll achieve less because I'll take my foot off the pedal. Would you say when it's actually the opposite, when you do all those things, you actually end up achieving more in your career anyway? Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast and want to learn more, I've released my first book, Move Your Mind: How to Build a Healthy Mindset for Life, where I talk about my own journey with mental health and share tips from experts on how to maintain a healthy mindset. You can buy the book on Amazon or through my website at nickbracks.com/book.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes, but sometimes you achieve more in life.
In a different way.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. You
what is
redefine you
achieving? What are you
redefine
trying
what
to
success is.
achieve?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is achieving?
Yes.
This
Yes.
is that marathon, crazy marathon is achieving it, right? What is
Yeah.
achieving
Yeah. It's up to
when
the
it's
individual
all
to
over?
decide.
It's up to us to decide whether we want to live connected to truth, being authentic, being expressive, being creative, being expanded,
Yeah.
or just having a lot on your resume. And yeah, but I think it takes some maturity, some emotional maturity. And usually you get that when you fell on your face a couple of times.
Exactly. It does take that
I mean,
most of the
I
time.
can tell you that I was an achiever. I was an exceller and achiever. It's a form of defensive structure that covers up some wound in your emotional self. I
Yeah.
was doing that, and I got very tired at some point, deeply tired,
Hmm.
and it caused the sickness. physical sickness. So for me, I stopped and looked because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm very
Well,
glad I did.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of this. And I think it's fascinating what you're talking about. And you've got so much wisdom and, so many years of experience in this area. So I think anyone listening, highly recommend they check out your work. So on that note, for anyone listening, where can they go if they want to learn more about you and the work you're doing?
First, check the website, which is www.gatesofpower.com. Gates like GATES.
Yep.
It's like a portal, gatesofpower.com.
Great.
And there you can email me. There is a contact. Yeah. And you can take it from there.
Great.
Yeah,
Well,
there
for
is a
anyone,
book. I have
there's
two
what, sorry?
books on I have two books on Amazon. One is Gates of Power, Actualize Your True Self, which talks about this method program in much detail and in a very fun way, creative way. And the other one is Let the Heart Speak, which is another book that's short essays.
Fantastic.
So,
Well, yeah, anyone listening, we'll have the link to the website in the show notes, and make sure to, also check out the books and everything else that you have. So, we'll make sure that we direct our listeners to your links. We finish every episode with 5 closing questions. So these can be sort of shorter answers, whatever comes to mind. The first one being, what's your best childhood memory that comes to mind for you?
ooh, not so good childhood. Running around in the empty dunes around my house with my best friend and being free and crazy.
Yeah, having that freedom.
Just freedom. Yeah.
What do you think is currently the biggest burden on mental health in society?
I think there is a lack of appreciation for connecting to self. There is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of push towards titles and status and money, and there's not enough encouragement and nourishing that other way of living.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think it really sums up so many things. It's so true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are just running after. And yeah.
Yeah. What's your personal definition of happiness?
Sense of inner freedom to be who you really are. And the ability to enjoy the little things, to just feel gratitude and feel like that feeling like when you're 5 and you just like everything is wow, everything is fun. Like to be able to enjoy the little things and appreciate them.
That's actually such a beautiful point, because really that's all life is. It's all the little things are what life's made up of. So we often dismiss all of the little things and only want the big things, but the little things are all that's your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
What
So
are you
yes,
most... Oh,
freedom,
sorry. Yeah.
inner freedom, enjoyment, gratitude,
Yeah.
sharing love, giving love, seeing love come to you when it comes. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. What are you most afraid of?
Can't think of anything.
That's good.
Can't think of anything that I'm most afraid. I guess to be tortured if I'm going to be, somebody pulling my teeth or something. But depends
Inj-
at some point.
yeah.
But yeah, really
Well, final one. What are you most proud of?
healing myself.
Mm.
Yeah. Creating the ability to accept, to appreciate myself, to be free within myself, to actualize talents and gifts and abilities.
Yeah. I think that's the most important one. If we can heal ourselves, then everything else will
Yeah.
flow from there. So, and I think that,
Yes.
really stands for a lot of what you're talking
Yes.
about. So,
Yes.
well, yeah, Nomi, thank
Yes.
you so much for coming on here and sharing all of this. And I've taken a lot out myself from talking to you, and yeah, really appreciate the work you're doing.
I'm glad. Yes. And it was a pleasure talking to you, Nick. You're young,
Thank you.
but there's like so much wisdom in you. That's
Oh,
nice.
thank you. Thank you. I
Very
appreciate that. That's very nice of you.
all
Thank you
right.
so much. Thank
So
you.
onwards and upwards.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks to Nomi Bachar for joining me today for Move Your Mind. Also, a huge thank you to those of you listening. I really appreciate your support. If you'd like to learn more or connect with me personally, visit www.nickbracks.com or send me a DM on Instagram at nickbracks. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram. It really makes a difference. Thank you so much.